Hi and welcome to your mat Pilates workout. For this session, you will need a pair of dumbbells and some resistance bands. So let's start off by meeting to a 4-point kneel. So coming down with your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. We're just going to start with a few cat-cow stretches. So tuck your tailbone under, flex your upper back forward, looking down at your thighs, and then release and return the other way. Stick your tailbone out as you begin to look up towards the ceiling, shine your chest plate forward, and then curve back into an upside down U, looking down at your thighs, tuck your tailbone under, and then release, return the other way, creating a U shape with your spine. And just find a position that's halfway between the two, pressing up nice and strong with your hand. Lift your core up towards your spine, so get that lower belly in to hug your spine. You're going to tap and reach in front of you with your left hand, and then return. Lift that core, tap and reach with your right hand, and return. Repeat, just alternating between the sides. Now, what you want to try and avoid here is your pelvis rocking from side to side. Do this by pressing up nice and strong through that supporting hand, and return. Really spread those fingertips out nice and wide. Tap, return, tap, return. On your next one, we're going to start by sliding our left foot back behind us. Keep that pelvis nice and straight. Slide it forward. Slide the right leg away from us so our right knee moves away from our torso, and return. Pressing up nice and strong through our hands, and just alternate between the two legs, so left and right. Slide. Keep that core engaged, so lifting up our lower belly to hug our spine. Continuing to press strong through our hands, and return. Last one on either side here. Left, slide right, and return. We're going to do opposite hand to opposite leg. So you're going to slide your left hand as you slide your right leg away from you, and then return. Lift up through that core, slide your left foot, right hand away from your body, and return. Repeat between the two, keeping your pelvis as straight as possible. So try and visualize you're holding, a tray of drinks, balancing on your back. You don't want the tray to tip over. We've got one more here on either side. Left, and then right. On the next one, as you slide your hands away, you're going to lift and float up towards the roof, and return back down, slide to return. Other side, slide away from your body, keep that core engaged, pressing up strong through your hand. Lift and float your opposite leg and opposite arm away from the ground. Float it back down and return. The biggest challenge here for this one is to keep that pelvis as stable as possible. Avoid excessive arching through that lower back. Keep your neck nice and strong and away from the floor. We don't want to collapse into our shoulder blades. So I always like to imagine there's like a candle just underneath my nose, and I don't want to singe my eyebrows. So I lift my head as far back away from the floor so I don't singe those eyebrows and I don't sink in through those shoulder blades. Pressing up nice and strong. Let's go. Slide, lift, return, bring in, breathe in, breathe out, slide, lift, hold, return. We'll do one more on either side before we move on to our helicopters. Slide, lift, return, come back down. Last one. Slide, lift, return, and come back down. So for this next one, we're going to slide our hands away from our body, lift up, hold, bring your hand and leg out to the side, back to the midline, drop back down, and slide back to the beginning. Other side. Slide, lift, reach your leg and arm away from the midline of your body, return, drop back down, and slide. So stability is key here. The slower you go, the better. Lift, move away from the midline, return, lower back down, and slide. Keep going. Pressing up nice and strong through those hands. Lift, move away from the midline, return back to the midline, drop back down, and slide. Slide, lift, return, back to the middle, drop, slide back in. Last one here, press up, slide away, lift, reach away from the midline of your body, return, drop back down, slide back to the middle. Beautiful. Let's come sitting back down. Let's just roll those wrists out. I'm going to come into a little bit of a thigh stretch work here. So grabbing onto your dumbbells. Actually, I might do this one side of the line so you can see what I'm doing. So grabbing onto your dumbbells and just resting them onto your thighs. We're going to come up into a high kneel. Tuck your tailbone under, sitting up nice and tall. Reach your arms out in front of you. What we're going to do, we're going to keep everything vertical from our head, from our crown all the way down to our knees. We're going to lean back into a thigh stretch as far back as you can. Come back to the middle and drop back down. Lift. Reach back. Feel that stretch through the front of your quads. Just come back to as far as comfortable. We don't want to collapse in through our back. And back to the middle. Lower those arms. Lift. Reach. Stretch out through those thighs. Keep that tailbone tucked under. And return back down. You just work within a tolerable range. Whatever you can handle, don't overpress it. The biggest thing I don't want to see here is that you're collapsing in through your spine. Otherwise, you'll just feel it all through your lower back. Tuck that tailbone under. Reach back, return, and come back down. Lift, reach, return, and lower back down. Again, lift, come back. So you really want to keep that tailbone really tucked under. Glutes are switched on here as well. Even though we're feeling it through our thighs, switch on those glutes, return, and come back down. Last one here, lift, and come back down. So keeping our left knee bent, we're going to straighten out that right leg. We're going to come into sort of like a half deadlift here, where we're just going to use our left leg. So with that leg pointed out in front of you, now if you get a bit of hip cramping, you can just maneuver your leg into whatever position feels comfortable for you. We're going to come up and back down. So really folding at those hips. You want to imagine there's like a little bar. It's like a little bar around you. You come up and fold at the hips, keeping that back as straight as you can, and come back down. Lift, return. Let's add a little bit of arm work here. As we come up, open your arms, back to center, return. Lift and open, and return. Open out wide, return. Whew. Quads are burning, return. Lift, squeeze that glute, fold at the hips, come back. Lift, return. Beautiful. Fold, lift, squeeze those glutes, open up wide, and return. Last one here. Return. Before we come onto the other side, let's come into some bear planks. So coming back down onto our hands and knees. Knees under our hips and hands are under our shoulders. Curl those toes under, come up into your bear plank. So hover your knees up and drop back down. So we'll do a few of those. Hover your knees a centimeter off the ground and come back down. From here, we're gonna hover, lift your left leg up into a donkey kick, return back down and lower. Go to the other side. Donkey kick that right leg, return and lower. Now you can definitely take out the bear plank in this and just do your donkey kicks, or you can just do the bear planks and not do the donkey kicks. It is a little bit more of a challenge on our core. Lift, return. So really keeping that core engaged to avoid excessive low back arching. We don't want to extend that lower back too much. Press up strong, donkey kick, return, return. Lift, donkey kick, return, return. Keep going, press, donkey kick, return, return. Whew. I can feel this all through my quads. Core is burning. Okay, for our next one here, extend your left leg back behind you. Come back into that bear plank with your right knee. Lift, lower, return. Swap, straighten that other leg out. Bear plank the left leg. Lift that right foot, return and lower. Swap, straighten, bear plank, lift, return and lower. Slide that leg back in. Slide your right leg out, bear plank with the left leg, kick, return, lower, swap, slide, lift, swap, slide, lift. Woo! And we soft that one up. Return, slide, lift, kick that leg back, return, slide back in, slide, bear plank. Do one more here on each side. So slide, bear plank, kick, return, lower, slide, bear plank, lift, return, lower. So let's move on to our deadlift on the other side. So bending that right knee, straightening that left leg out in front of you. So like I said, you can pick your angle that you want to work through. We're just going to come up into that lift, squeeze those glutes, come up, fold back at the hips, sit back down onto your heel, squeeze those glutes and come up, bend, lift, return. Let's add some arms, lateral raises, bring them back to the middle. Bring out, return. Make sure you fold at the hips as if you're sitting back down into a chair. That right quad should start to burn. Lift, return, lift, return. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, let's just set our weights aside for a second. We're going to come into using our resistance bands now. So we're going to come into some bow and arrow arms. So I've got as a light resistance, and mine have handles. You don't need to have the handles. You just need to wrap it around something. So I've got mine locked around the leg of the couch, and I'm holding both of them. Again, we've got a few options with this. You can sit down with your knees bent. You can come up onto your knees, you can sit onto a box, it's fine. I think I might sit onto my knees, just I think for demonstration purposes. Okay, so our arms are out in front of us. Keeping our left arm nice and straight, we're going to bend that right arm. As we bend our right arm, we rotate our upper body around to the right, look kind of back behind us, straighten that right arm as we return our upper back towards the midline. Keeping our right arm straight, we're going to bend that left arm, rotate around to the left and back to the middle. So you want to keep both your hip bones facing forward. So as if they were headlights on a car, you want to keep them facing forward and just rotate through that upper back and swap sides and return. You can see this here. So rotate around to the right, keeping that opposite arm stretched, return back to the midline. Left arm bends, rotate to the left, right arm stays straight. Return back to the midline. Swap. Right arm bends, rotate around to the right. Oh, so good on the spine. Keep going. And rotate around to the other way. Ooh. Rotate around to the right, back to the midline. Last one, rotate left and return. Now, I've got handles on mine, so I can thread one handle into the other to create one strap here. You can obviously tie yours up and just use one handle of it. And you're going to take your dumbbell in your left hand and your resistance band into your right hand. We're going to get it come up into our high kneel. From here, we're going to keep both arms crossed out in front of us. As we extend that right arm, we're going to reach that left arm up to shoulder height and come back down. Cross over in front of you, reach out. Breathe in to return, breathe out to press. So again, you've got various options with your sitting. If your knees hurt, you can kneel onto a pillow. You can even come down and sit. You're just going to bend those elbows a little bit more. Reach out into your lateral raise, bend and return. So I will come up and return. Whew. Such a small movement, yet very powerful. I'll sit back down and up. Bend those elbows, cross over. Last one here before we switch sides. Beautiful. So now I need to have my back facing you guys, so I do apologize. So we're going to swap over here. So you've got your left arm now with the resistance bands and your right hand has the weight. Your arms are crossed out in front of you, elbows are bent. We're going to come out into that lateral raise and return. Come out into that lateral raise. So just bring your hands up to shoulder height and return back down. Breathe in, breathe out, reach up, bend and return. Again, you don't have to sit on your knees, you can sit in a long seat. So sitting on your bottoms with your legs stretched out in front of you. You can sit on a chair, sit on a box, as long as you've got your resistance bands hooked onto the leg of a couch, a door or whatever. And then you've got your dumbbell in the opposite hand. We'll go for 5 more here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, set that resistance band down and your dumbbell off to the side. We're going to come into some glute bridges, but onto a chair or a couch again. So laying down and placing the heel of your foot just onto a couch, making sure your hips, knees are all shoulder width apart. We're going to press our back completely into the mat. Continue to lift and peel our pubic bone and our spine straight up to the roof. Shoot those knees to a 45-degree angle and then roll back down. You can challenge yourself and keep your arms lifted straight up to the roof. Lift and squeeze and roll back down. Nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time. Flatten your spine completely, lift up from your pubic bone, lift one vertebrae up, and then roll from the top of your spine, the middle part of your spine, and then your lower back. Let's go. Whew. Lift, squeeze those glutes at the top, and roll back down. Really press those hamstrings in as well. So squeeze your hamstrings, squeeze your glutes. Keep everything nice and stable as you roll up and down. The next one we're going to hold up and just pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Bring your arms back behind you without flaring those ribs. Keep those rib cages down nice and tight. So imagine there's a spring from your rib cage down to your hip bone. We want to keep them locked. Bring your arms back to the starting point and roll back down. Repeat. Roll up into your bridge. Keep those rib cage exactly where it is. Roll your arms back behind you. Bring them back to the starting point and roll back down. Again. So as you bring your arms back, you don't want to collapse in through the pelvis. You don't want your rib cage to lift up. It's just the movement of the shoulder moving back behind you. Squeeze those glutes, lift, reach back behind you, return and roll back down. Let's go for 5 more here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On your next one, we're going to flatten that spine. Come up into our bridge, holding, pressing strong with that right glute. Lift that left leg into tabletop, return back down and roll. Other side. Lift that right leg up into tabletop, return. Losing balance here. Again, lift, pressing nice and strong through that right leg. Lift the left leg into tabletop and roll back down. Roll, lift that right leg up, return and roll back down. Again, lift. If the arms are too much for you, you can drop them down by your side. Or you can lift them, leave them lifted for a little bit more of a challenge. Keep those hamstrings engaged. Last one, lift. Left foot, return, lower, right side, lift, squeeze, return. We're going to hold and just come into some marching legs for 5. So alternate between your left and right. Try and not let that pelvis drop from side to side. Squeeze the glute on each side. 3, 2, 1. Roll back down. Whew. Let's bring our knees together. Roll them off to our left while our upper body moves into the right. Crack, crack, crack. You can feel your lower back crack. Push down a little bit. Really reach that top knee away from your torso. Squeezing in those abs, bring those knees around to the other side. Roll around to your right, upper body goes to your left. Really push that top knee away from your torso. Push, push, push. And you can slowly roll on up. We are all done for this session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on the mat.